Hey, David Wygant here, 10-minute daily reality check. Hold on one second. Now, does that sound remind you of your grandfather? Or, an old man, like you're on the train or you're on a bus or an airplane and the old guy's got that old dry throat and he's going, right? So today, before Brett picked me up, I went to T-Mobile. Now, there was a big sign in front of T-Mobile that said, suck David Wygant in, suck David Wygant in. It said free upgrades to iPhones. I'm like, okay, I upgrade every single year. Brett's looking at my phone right now and goes, well, that one looks pretty familiar, looks the exact same. So I walk in there and I'm listening to this guy walk through being switched over from Verizon to T-Mobile, and it's taking forever, and I'm keeping up with what I promised all of you to do, is I'm surrendering, not being impatient. I'm allowing to have his moment. And then finally I decided to cut in because I knew it was about time for him to leave. So I basically did the upsell to T-Mobile myself for him. So this cute and adorable T-Mobile rep, I was so happy to have her and not the other girl. She was bubbly and she was fun and she looked like she was about 23 years old, but it turned out she was a mom of 3 and she was 27. How do I know her age, Brett? Because I'm going to tell you something today that happened to me that's going to happen to you, because I am going to send you to T-Mobile. So I said, I noticed that my account got cheaper all of a sudden. It went down to like $86. So I asked her and she looked in there and, she says, well, she goes, your phone looks like it's been paid off. I go, well, that's wonderful, because I was on a 2-year contract. I was on a 2-year phone payoff, so I'll take the free year of being paid off. She goes, can I see your ID? So I said, absolutely. So I gave her my ID and she looks at me and she goes, well, you're 55. And I said, yes, I am. And how old are you? How old are you? She goes, 27. I go, well, I'm just double your age. I said, you're just cute as can be. I said, but please tell me I don't look 55. I mean, if I do, you can tell me. She goes, no, I didn't think you were 55 at all. That's why I asked for your ID. So I said, great, I'm 55. She goes, well, I've got a rate plan for you.
Oh my God.
Okay. So I go, what do you mean a rate plan? And she says, well, she goes 55 and older.
Oh, get the fuck out.
I swear to God. You get a $50 rate plan and it includes taxes, fees, and everything.
Get the fuck out.
Yes. So unlimited data, unlimited texting. And then she says, well, do you travel abroad? And I said, well, my hip kind of hurts lately, so I'm really trying to stay off of airplanes. I said, but when I travel abroad, what is it? She goes, it's like $10 extra a month. I said, well, can I, sweetheart? Can I get the abroad plan when I'm traveling abroad, when I take my grandchildren? So she started laughing, right? And she goes, yes, of course you can change the plan anytime you want. So I looked at her, I said, you mean I just got an old man discount? She goes, yes, you did.
Oh my God.
So I didn't know what to make of it at all. I kind of thought to myself, well, I've lived 55 years. I have lots of experience, and I'm still cute and adorable to younger women, so I'm okay, but I have all this experience, and I get discounts at T-Mobile. So I said, well, my bill's what? She goes, well, now it's like $62 a month, I think. It's something ridiculous. So I'm like, oh my God, my bill went from 120 to 62 in a matter of a day. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with that extra money, because it's really not a lot of extra money. It's not really money I'm gonna spend. And then she looks at me, she goes, well, you can upgrade. And I said, I don't really want to upgrade. She goes, well, the 10's coming out soon. And I go, well, how much extra will it be a month? She says, it'd be like $40 a month. I'm like, that would put my bill at 102. I said, I'm in double digits now. I kind of like being in double digits. She goes, well, you can go to the iPhone, big iPhone. She goes, you'll need it for your old eyes. And I go, you're 100% right.
That's what she said.
Yeah. And I said, what is my phone worth? She goes, oh, she could probably get $400 for it on eBay. And I'm thinking like, wow. So I can take my $400, give it to you, and then my phone's only $13 extra a month, and I'm still at $75. She goes, yes, it is, because of your 55-year-old discount. Holy shit, Brett, it's happening.
Oh my God.
So you're going to go to T-Mobile now?
I am. I'm going straight to T-Mobile to get the 55 discount.
You didn't know that, did you?
I had no idea.
I know.
I had no idea.
Isn't that fucking great?
It's insane.
We now get discounts.
Oh my God. It's scared the crap out of me.
Do you think if we call American Airlines, do you think we'll get like a 55 and older discount?
Do we get a discount at the movies?
Not yet. Soon. I went to the movies last night. I saw American Made.
Yeah.
The new Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah.
Who's also 55, right?
Yes.
Tom looks good.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks good. He got to pick his young wife because he always picks a young wife in his movies, right?
He doesn't. I mean, the studio picks a young wife.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure $25 million a picture. I'm sure he says something about it.
Right.
Do you remember the two biggest drug dealers in American history? Do you remember who they were?
No.
Reagan and Bush. I forgot about the Contras and the arms and the Colombians and the Colombian cartel and Nancy going up there and saying, save our kids from drug, yet Ronald and George were fucking giving arms to the Contras, who were basically trading the arms for cocaine to sell that. And this is a true story. So it's all about exposing all the stuff that went down in the 80s during the Reagan years when, cocaine was running rampant and Reagan was trying to make a big deal of it not, and we were supplying arms all over the place and arms were being supplied for coke. So it was a good walk back in history, and it was really interesting because it reminded me, remember when Colombia was dangerous?
Yeah,
Medellin was this really scary place. Now it's a place where creepy internet marketers go hit on young girls.
You mean ones that we know?
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of the guys that we know, right? And they call it the expat club.
Yeah.
I'm not there in my life.
No, I can't do it.
I can't do it.
I can't. I was in Nicaragua a couple of years ago, and it's the same thing. Like, you see 16-year-old girls walking down the street with babies on their arms. And girls come up to you in the cafes and they ask if you want company, and they're like, 15, 16, 17 years old. I'm like, sorry, no, thank you. I can't get there.
Yeah, and there's something about third world, sex that I'm really not craving. I was in Peru a long, long time ago with a client, and I took this guy on like romance tours all over the world. And I literally turned him into James Bond, James Bond in the Philippines, James Bond in Peru. And we met these girls in Peru, and he was dating this girl in Peru, and we went to her house. Her house was a shack in the middle of a town, right? Which is very third world, which I enjoy because I enjoy that experience, I enjoy learning about a new country. I enjoy hanging out with people. So I went with her uncles, true story. We went to the middle of the town to go get some booze. I was treating them to alcohol. I mean, at the price I was treating them to alcohol, I could have bought them the house too. And it was still like under $1,000, right? I sat there and watched a cockfight that night. Okay. And do you know that in the cockfights they actually have the razor blades like in their legs, right? So then when the cocks are fighting, not the penises, okay, the roosters, right? The cocks are fighting, okay, and there's actually razor blades that actually kill the other rooster. So I'm in the middle of this town. The guy looks at me and goes, "You want to gamble?" On what? On the roosters.
Jesus.
So I have never been somebody, because I'm not a third world person.
Yeah.
I don't need to go and meet a woman that's in a different socioeconomic class with me so I can be the big man and rescue her. That's not my thing. I want to meet somebody, and I desire to be with somebody who's on my level, who understands my upbringing, who understands my economic class. And it just seems like a lot of these guys will go to Colombia and the Philippines and Thailand, and they want to be this big man, they want to be the guy, the man that goes and, throws the money around a little bit, because look, $1,000 is huge money for them.
Yeah, you're a big shot.
Yeah, you're a big shot. And, and I get that. And I understand that. And it's funny because I've talked to a lot of people who've been down to Medellin, a lot of the internet markers, and they'll come back and they're like, yeah, I'll just never be with an American girl again. They just don't appreciate things. And, they're just not as sexual as these Colombian girls are. And they're just not as hot. And I'm thinking, like, all this shit is just really fucking superficial and wrong.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, they're paying, they figure they're big shots, they're paying for everything. So the girls are basically prostitutes. It's like, you go down there and you get this 15-year-old to do whatever you want. You feel like a big shot because she'll do whatever you want. Right?
Oh, anything.
It's just, yeah, it ain't good.
No, it's not good. I mean, you can also find prostitutes here too. I mean, the fact of the matter is there's a lot of girls running around LA that have benefactors. Benefactors is basically a prostitute. It's so funny. I remember that we were doing some work for that website. What was that website? SugarDaddy.com?
Oh my God, please.
And we were doing work. We were going to do a product for them, which we never did.
Never did.
Because it was so not in our integrity, and
so sleazy.
Right, and we'd meet these women, And they would like, what are you looking for? And we'd be like, well, I'm looking for maybe the one woman that wants to have a relationship on the site. And then we'd ask them what they were looking for. And they're like, well, I'm just looking for a man that's, wants to pay my car payment and wants to pay my rent. And then you and I would write emails back to them and go, well, basically you're a prostitute. Oh, no, it's not prostitution at all.
I just want an allowance.
I want an allowance. Which is really, let's do the definition of prostitution, right? Okay. So the definition of prostitution is a woman that's with a man that she really doesn't like, but she's with him because the man will literally give her the lifestyle that she's looking for and gives her an allowance and money, correct?
It's a contract.
It's a contract, okay? So there's a lot of women that we know that live in Playa Vista, okay, that are with men that they don't want to be with, okay, because they don't choose to work and they don't want to work, so they literally are choosing to go be with a man that they don't want to be with and they get an allowance. It's no different than the women that marry the guys that they don't want to be with.
Right.
I mean, it's the oldest game in the book, but yet so many people and so many women defend it. They defend the fact, oh, what should I do? I want this lifestyle. Well, maybe work for it and earn it.
Well, they're using their assets in their
Their ass, basically.
In their opinions, they're using their assets. And hey, they can look at themselves in the mirror. Let them do it. For me, let them do it.
I agree, but it's funny, we're on this planet, and you and I have realized something that's so important. We're on this planet because we're here to find love.
Absolutely.
No matter how much money I have in the bank, no matter what I do, it's all about love. It's all about having that deeper connection, that incredible connection with another person. And I look at people like this. If material things are going to drive you and material things are going to be the things that are going to make you happy, you're eventually going to wake up and you're going to lose your assets. Eventually you're going to be a woman that no longer has the assets because the assets are dropping a little bit. No matter how much plastic surgery you may have, then you'll start look like Joan Rivers or any one of the other lizards that we talk about, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's selling your soul to the devil almost.
That's true. There's a lot of men who worship at the altar of material things as well, though.
Absolutely.
So it's not particular to women. It's just the worshiping of material goods. And certainly, I don't know if it's happened since I moved here or whether this city of LA is more prone to it than others, but I've noticed that when we grew up, materialism was something that our parents talked about and told us that we should avoid it at all costs, and it was a detriment. It was a bad thing. It was a character flaw. Now it's not only accepted, it's become the culture, right?
It is. Material things have become really cultural because it's almost like, look at me. There's an interesting thing, whenever I go on Instagram, I take a look at some people, and every single day, it seems like the narcissists are always putting up the selfies, right? The self-tards.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always showing themselves doing something that shows themselves off. Look what I did. Look at me.
Don't I look so hot? Don't I look so handsome? Aren't I so special? Isn't my life so incredible? Right? Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, there's a whole generation of people now who have grown up doing that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think some of the younger generation are some of the biggest narcissists in the entire world. They've been encouraged to do that. And I remember I got into not an argument, because I'm not going to argue with somebody unless you want to get on the podcast and really fucking argue. I'm up for that. If you want to have a different counterpoint than what we're talking about, always open to have guests that want to go and literally go toe to toe. But I was talking to a 23-year-old, and he had this attitude, and I looked at him, I said, you got to lose the fucking attitude, man. I'm not like this old person. I'm up with the times. I said, your generation is so much about yourself. And then he looked at me and he said something really interesting. He gave me a whole different point of view and perspective on it. He says, it's your fault. And I said, tell me why. I said, because I don't have a 23-year-old kid, so explain to me why it's my fault. And he looks at me and goes, no. He goes, not you, but your generation fault. Your friends. He says, do you have friends who have 23-year-old kids? I said, absolutely. He says, well, my parents turned me into this. My parents taught me that it's all about me all the time. My parents taught me that it's okay to talk about myself. My parents taught me to expect everything to be about myself. He says, and I grew up that way. So I never had to compete in sports. I never had to do anything. It was always about being coddled. He says, so I'm a product of my environment. And you know what? I respected that.
It's true. He's right.
Yeah, he's right. And I really respect it. We got a really interesting conversation on that. You are a product of your environment. Anyway, we're running out of time today. So, Brett, we're going to T-Mobile, right?
Yes, sir. 55 discount.
55 discounts. So something I learned today, it's okay to have a 55 discount. 10-minute daily reality check out. Do me a favor. 55 new people need to be listening to this every single day so I can give you the discount of being a member of the 10-minute daily reality check, which is free and it's never charged for anyway. I will see you tomorrow.